but let's start again. And
we go again.
Yeah, what do you say in English? Januar.
Yeah, I don't know, Yama. Maybe.
Januar.
Yeah.
From Godogo. Pretty amazing product, I'd say. I don't have a dog myself, but I've seen a lot of Hannes videos, and it's a lot of fun always to see how it works. Hannah has been working on this for quite some years, but lots of good experience and learnings that you can hopefully use in your startups and with your product as well. So go for it, Hannah.
Thank you, Anders. I've been looking forward to being here, and I think it's a very good idea to have this kind of club where we can share and have good opportunities to learn from each other. And I hope that I can give you something also today, because I'm not an expert in anything, but I have experienced a lot, I think, during the last 5 or actually 6 years. But yeah, maybe first, I used to work at the Technical University, so I'm an engineer in chemistry, actually, with a PhD in bioinformatics. So I've done a lot of data analysis on biological data, and that's also how I got to know about neural nets and, of course, deep neural nets and computer vision and stuff like that. So that's part of the product. But I will go back and start with the problem, because most of you, of course, know people who has a dog. Maybe you even have a dog yourself. And they have needs. Of course, they need food and water, and you have to take them on walks and give them toys and teach them how to behave with other dogs and humans, and maybe take the bus, stuff like that. And that's all very easy. You can do stuff while you do it. For example, you can talk on the phone while you take the walk. But there is actually one aspect that I didn't know about before I got my now 2 dogs. And that is that they also need a lot of mental stimulation. Of course, you train them, and they do get a lot of mental stimulation that way, but they also need a different type of mental stimulation, and that's the independent type. And you don't think a lot about that before you have the responsibility for those idiots. And if you don't give them enough of that, they will often find ways to entertain themselves. It's a problem, mental stimulation. It's very difficult because you have to think to make them think. And if you don't make them think, then they will definitely either solve it themselves or they will develop other issues. But a way of solving it could be to eat the couch. Everyone have heard that. Eat the shoes. In our case, it was a GoPro. We forgot to move it. And then, of course, then they are stimulated, but that's not very constructive. Other dogs, they just give up. The experts call this learned helplessness. And that is they've been trying to tell you that they have this need, but you've just ignored it, so they give up. And they are actually the worst, because you don't see it and you don't necessarily know, and you're not a bad dog owner. They just become depressed and, sleep all day and are understimulated, and they get too obese also, because you often then don't go for long walks because they're lazy, but they are just learned helpless. You see it in all intelligent beings that this is not good. Of course, we cannot help those dogs to begin with, because, as I said, the dog owner is not bad. They just don't know. But we hope that because they are not bad, they will see other dogs play our solution, and then they will also buy it for their dog. Because, of course, those dog owners that know that this is important, they already do stuff to stimulate their dog. Of course, they train a lot, and you should always do that. But they can also buy, I don't know if you can see this for me, low-tech games where the dog has to work independent of their owner. So they manipulate something physical, like, for example, that one over there. The dog has to turn stuff or lift stuff to find treats. So they have to think, how do I get the treats out? The very simple ones are these where the dog is simply licking on something to get the treats out. And of course, it's not super stimulating, but it's better than nothing. In the middle, you see a snuffle mat where you can hide treats inside this very rough carpet, and then the dog have to find the treats. It's also very easy. And that is also another problem, because these are all physical. So the dog has to touch something in order to get to both the mental stimulation and the treat. And that is not good for all dogs, because they may chew it up and swallow it, and then it's not safe to use when you're alone. And for me, that was the problem. I had to go to work, and I wanted some solution that they could do while I was gone for a few hours until I came back at lunch and could walk them. So these are not the existing solutions. They're not good. They can't be alone with them. And also they are either too easy. I mean, my dogs would solve this before I even got out the door. Or they're too difficult. And if they're too difficult, they may destroy the toy to get out the treats, or they will simply give up, because dogs are, we think of them as smart, but they are actually not very smart. Compared to the wolf, they are very bad at problem solving. They need problem solving, but they're not very good at it. They simply, but they are actually smarter than the wolf, because what they do is that they sit down and then they look up, Mom or Dad, can you please solve this problem for me? So they tap into our thumbs and brains. And that's also proof, the ultimate proof is that there's almost 500 million dogs in the world, and there's only 30,000 wolves. So who's smarter? Yeah, but wolves, they can solve very complex. But yeah, problem with these, they are physical, and they're either too easy or too difficult. So we needed a solution in the world that could solve this. And then, of course, we solved it. This is my dog Leo playing our game. What you see above the TV here, this egg-shaped thing, that is actually our physical product. It contains treats, of course. There's a carousel with room for 20 treats, and there's a camera, the small, you can probably not see it. There's a camera looking at Leo, and then there's also a computer inside. What you cannot see on this video is that there's also a small side camera that transmits video feed to the main unit via Wi-Fi. So we have a video. Well, actually, you can maybe see here. There's a small a view on the TV that shows what the side camera is seeing. And this is because we have to see Leo from the side in order to classify what he is doing. Because the concept of Godogo is that the dog doesn't have to manipulate anything physically. He has to move in certain ways to get the treat. So the mental stimulation is finding out, how do I move to get the treat to come out? And this also means that because it's software, we can start extremely easy. So in the beginning, there's just a treat coming out. So any dog, well, most dogs, if they're not very anxious, most dogs will go to the place where the treat falls down and have it. And then they start finding out, okay, this area in front of the TV is pretty neat. I like it. And then we have to, and then the next level is, again, the instructor says, doggo, and there's no treat coming unless the dog is in the zone. So the dog has to learn to be in the zone to get the treat. And the third level is we teach the dog to focus, and we do that by looking for a dog face. So the front camera will look for a dog face. And if we see the dog paying attention, then it'll get a treat. So those first 3 levels are super easy. Most dogs will, of course, reach those the first time they play, because most dogs, they will look exactly here where the treats come out. But there are a few dogs that don't. Some dogs, they look at the floor because that's where the treat ends. And that's, well, also logic, right? But then they are already having a problem solving level 3. So they are standing there looking at the floor, nothing happens. But then we just wait, and we do that every time we make it harder. We teach the dog, this is a waiting game. First we wait 30 seconds, and that is actually a long time for a dog to wait. And of course, we are not saying, ding, good boy. We're just saying, doggo, and then there's a treat. And then we gradually extend these 30 seconds until it's 3 minutes. So the dog is standing there looking at the floor for 3 minutes. But at some point, of course, any dog will turn or do something, look up by chance. And then the instructor says, good boy, and then there's a treat coming. And when the dog has done that a couple of times, then it learns, okay, if I look up, I don't have to wait. And that's how we do it. So the next level is sit. Many dogs will, if they feel that someone is expecting something of them, they will often do a sit, because that's usually what we want them to do. So for some dogs, it's also easy. But if not, then we are doing this waiting game again. The next level is then down, and then we can tell them to sit or do down, and then ask them to stand. And then we have some other levels in the end. We have 8 levels right now. Oh yeah, and I should probably mention that videos like this fall went totally viral on TikTok. We had a TikTok account where we, of course, showed a lot of cute dog videos. And we had a nice growing, but then we made these posts of just 15, 19 seconds of Godogo, so the essence of our product. And they just, we have Danish company record on views on our top video, almost 20 million views. It has been watched for years. It's so silly. Yeah, but this is more if the video didn't work. This is just a level stand. But what you see is he's told to to do it down, well, first she's saying, don't go, and then Leo will run to the TV. And then she says down, and he does it down. And then he actually gets a ding as soon as our algorithm sees him in a down. So he knows, okay, I did the right thing. And then she says, stand. And then Leo, actually, you can see here, he doesn't really stand because Leo, he knows just how fast our algorithm is at seeing. So what he does, you see he's sitting again. He's just doing this small jump. Because it doesn't matter what they learn. What matters is that they know what gets the treat out. But we should talk product. This is the product. Inside here, there's a carousel for 20 treats, as I said. And then, of course, we also have an app. And this is the side camera, very small. It's like this. And treats, of course. This is Kida, one of our ambassadors. She actually bought the system already back in 2020, summer of 2020. And her mom uses it when she goes to the laundry in the basement and stuff like that. Huge potential. We should probably just skip that. But it's like $150 billion a year on pet care. Of course, most of that is food, but it's huge. Especially pet tech is, yeah. And there's a lot of dogs in the US. Really. Our business model is selling the unit pretty cheap. Right now we're losing money, of course, but we are going to have the costs down, in steps. And then we'll have a monthly subscription that we will start with in April. So everyone who's buying until April will get it forever without subscription. And we start very low, like $3 a month. And then we'll gradually increase, but we need to know how much value does the customer actually see this as, because of course they will not pay if it's too much. So we have to start low. This is a lot of information, which I guess you don't need, but we actually reached our sales target for last year. We wanted to have sold at least 150, and we managed to sell 153. And this year, we would like to produce so that we can sell 1,500. And I expect that 60% of that will be in November, December, because that's where consumers buy. And also we need to do a lot of studies before that, because we still don't know exactly where to put in money. TikTok, that was for free, but I mean, that's not scalable, right? Because we can't just put in a lot of money. But so we have to try both on Amazon and also try to use ads on TikTok Meet. I'm not sure. We're afraid it will ruin it if it's sponsored, but we'll find out. And then, we'll take over the world. I don't think this is super relevant for today, but I think maybe if some of you do work with the consumer products, I'm sure you will agree with me that Instagram and Facebook, at least if you're selling something not impulse buy category, then they don't convert very well. But getting TV exposure, many of those that bought now in the US actually saw me on a TV show in the spring of 21, I think. And then they just signed up to our email subscription thing, and then bought it as soon as it was released. TV, of course, and me when I'm talking to a dog owner, that also, but that's not scalable, right? Influencers and ambassadors, I think that is definitely the way we should go. We have tried it a little and it seems to work. And then of course TikTok, and now Amazon. We just came on Amazon just end of December. So far we have sold this is from last year, 153, approximately half of them are already in the US. We pretty early, of course we started in Denmark, and you should definitely do that, because if you are having something hardware based, you need to get rid of all the, we'll talk more about that. It's very important, but as soon as your product is mature enough, you can move to other places. And the reason why we already now moved to the US, because you could argue you would like to have your customers close, but the main reason is that because we are such a new and complex and hard to describe and communicate product, it costs a fortune to open a market. And the Danish market is just not big enough. And the learnings that we will do in the Danish market is we have to start all over in the US. So we're just going US. And the core of our product is also software, and we can we push software updates over the air, so it doesn't matter where you are. So that's some of the main arguments. Just some words from one of our lovely customers. This is better than salary. because making them happy is just what we live for, or at least what I live for. This is Jason and Dylan. I love that it keeps my dog engaged at home while I'm working in my office. A lot of people do that, and many people still work at home after COVID. So, and then the dog is like, "Come on, I want to do something," and then they put go on. Overall, we love the concept, and I'm looking forward to seeing how your company grows. Great work. Many of the US customers are actually guys like him, and we believe that they like the tech part of this also. So they are also buying into, we are a startup and this is a new thing. And there's another guy called Derek. He actually got the idea himself, and then he saw our product and then he bought it. Because of course, many got the same idea as I did. It's here is nothing. Competitors, we would like some of those actually, but we do have some, because it is a problem that people are trying to solve, but usually not with tech. Those people that that knows about this problem, they rarely use tech, so it's kind of a problem. But there are some products available. This one is probably the best because it is on the market and has been on market since before we started. Actually, it has evolved a lot. It was so ugly in the beginning, but it's really good. It's like a thing where the dog has to touch this rocker, and then it will receive a treat, so you can place the rocker in different places. But again, it's also physical, so doesn't have this touch free that we do. And the Clever Pet was also, it was a Kickstarter campaign before we even started, where the dog has to touch some colored light patterns, buttons to get the treats out. Again, it's something where the dog can actually chew on it. It is made so that it's a little hard to chew on, but still it is physical. And there's not a lot of feedback also, it's just blinking lights. This one is going to be our real competitor. Unless, of course, some of the pet camps evolve. That could also happen. But this one is already using the dog's position to reward or to give treats. So it's like sit down, stand. But you have to teach the dog to do it right in the right place. There's no automated learning yet. And they're also not on the market. It's so funny or strange. They are placed in San Francisco, and they are doing what we were taught not to do. They have raised a lot of money a couple of times, and they're just perfecting their product. They are flying under the radar with all PR and stuff and not selling. I'm like, what? It sounds really nice. I mean, we would all like to just get a lot of money and then just stay in the lab, right? But I'm not sure it's a good idea. But let's hope for them that they are testing at least in homes, because we have, and I'll talk more about that, because don't build a Ferrari. It's so tempting, and you probably know, and I shouldn't tell you, but I mean, those guys, they are smart, and they have like 10 huge investors, and they have raised 10 times more money than us, and they are doing this. And I totally get it. When I talked to him, John, he's called the CEO of Companion, he was sitting in the lounge in an airport having his lunch, and he was so not stressed. And I got so envious of him, because he can just play around in the lab and optimize his production costs and do whatever. But I'm also thinking it is not the way to go, because we know that we have been doing this in the beginning, fortunately only in small steps, because test. I'll move to this because, well, let's start. I got the idea actually in 2016, and then we did some initial stuff. And in 17, in the summer of 2017, I hired my co-founders as student helpers. And then we already built the first very primitive prototype in the fall of 2017. And, you know, it was with gaffer tape, and the carousel was 3D printed, and a small motor and some cardboard that we bent, and then we put it on top of the TV. So we had something that we could use for our InnoBooster project in the spring of 2018, where I went out to 20 owners and tried out different things. At that point, it was so early that no one expected it to work, not even us. It did kind of work, but then we founded the company in the spring of 2018, and then we joined DTC. Many of you are probably also in the Danish Tech Challenge. And they told us to go test it, and we applied for another InnoBooster grant. And then we built an app, very primitive app, and we had 4 levels, and we had the algorithm working. And then we went to, fortunately, 2 of my friends' house, and I remember being so proud, and I was sure that it was just going to be awesome. And I mean, God, nothing worked. It was so embarrassing. It was, first time really. Oh. So we then back in the lab, and then we tried to fix all those problems. And then we went to 2 more, well, actually back to those 2 first, and then 2 new ones, and iteratively all spring. And there were so many errors. And so that was this test. And we did manage to test with 20, and the product was not even 1/4 finished after this. So we built prototype after prototype after prototype, and I haven't put in the app prototypes because in the beginning we're just doing this test flight app. And then we had an Indiegogo where we sold some units and sent them some of our prototypes. And then we had another test in 2021, and at that point we actually thought we were finished again. So naive. I don't know why you keep thinking that, but of course when you test it in the lab and it works, then it's annoying to find all those problems. But I'm sure they will keep coming. Right now we have been in hundreds of homes, and we have had some really serious problems, but we have fixed them one by one. And I'm sure that it will continue. When we have thousands, we'll find another problem or 3. So, but it's also okay because the customers that are most unhappy are actually the customers that can end up being extremely happy. If you take them serious and you solve the problem with them and keep being nice, then they just, some of those reviews that we got because they felt that they were really getting a good service. So I don't like, of course it's better, if you don't hear anything, that's bad. And if you hear something good, of course it's good, but the worst is if you don't hear anything and they are actually unhappy. It's a lot better to get the negative reviews or the negative comments. One of the most positive, he started out by writing not even his name or hi or anything. It was just horrible instructions and something, I don't know. And then we found all the problems, and then he ended up being, an ambassador, really. So you should welcome unhappy customers. Just keep being very nice to them and really try to work with them, then it works. I think I'll shut up now. This is the team. You just one moment. We're 6 full-time and actually 3 dogs. I don't know, I forgot Falca. And then we have a lot of advisors, and of course we have talked to a lot of people, and it's important because when we are building something like this. And thank you. Questions?
I just ask, where are you manufacturing the product in Denmark, or Europe, or China?
Okay. We are producing in Denmark at ETK, EMS in Sønderborg, but we have actually produced first at Scanfil in Malmö, but they were way too expensive, so we found an alternative. So now we are totally made and designed in Denmark, for now.
Yeah, so those numbers there, is that like the number that you produced and then after test, or just the number of tests?
Yeah.
Installations, they use the same thing over and over.
These are just the number of tests, because I wanted to focus on how important, for example, these 20 in the spring of 21 was actually only 10 prototypes, where we had those 10 prototypes in 10 homes in 2 weeks, and then the same 10 prototypes in 20 other. Yeah. The beta were actually sales. Here some of these testers, they actually bought very cheap, of course, our beta unit. So we sold it, I think 700 kroner, so kind of almost nothing, but still it was not our first sale because we also sold on Indiegogo, but it was our first real sale. So, but we sold 35 units here, not to 35 customers because some actually bought 2, but yeah. And then here we have had, again, 30 of the same type. So this is 3D printed still, 30 in the beginning of last year. And then we have sold approximately 70 of the real plastic still prototype, but I guess now we should maybe start calling it a product. We'll never finish anyway. Yes?
Does the product come with some sort of screen protection for the TVs?
No, it does not.
Okay.
It's not, and we do write in our disclaimer that it's on at your own risk.
Okay.
Because you are right, some dogs will maybe try to So far, we haven't had the problem, but I
Okay.
have had a lot of comments saying, "Oh, my dog would kill the TV."
Exactly.
What we do is we write that for one, it's very important that the unit is placed so that the dog cannot reach it.
Mhm.
Because if it can only just almost reach it, it will try maybe.
Yeah.
And then the TV will be in the way. And also we are saying that don't place it, if you know your dog is violent and can be very eager, don't place it above the TV, because you can also just put it on the side like this.
Yeah.
And then we also say, please be there the first many times. And also even when you are leaving, try to leave only next door, I mean, outside the room, and see what's good. Because some dogs, my dogs, for example, they know stuff is not allowed when I'm in the room. But as soon as I turn my back, they are on the table, for example. So yeah, we advise to do that.
What do the dogs actually see?
Yeah, oh, that's also a good question.
Because, I mean, I'm not sure, what their eyes see on a TV screen compared to ours.
I have, of course, read up on that, and they don't see exactly as we do. Well, first, many people think that dogs cannot see what is going on a TV screen. And that used to be almost true. Back in the days when we had a very low refresh rate, it was too confusing for the dogs because they saw this flicker. But now all the modern TVs, the dog almost sees the TV as we do. But they are not, we are very good at seeing details. They are actually not very good at, but they are very good at seeing movements. That's why we do these very big movements. And they also get confused, most dogs, because they are of course different. Some dogs, they have a favorite cartoon, I've heard. They can, they sit there and watch an entire cartoon and seem emotionally connected to it and everything. But most dogs, they get confused when the scene shifts. They don't understand this abstraction. They see it as they think this is what is now. And then every time we have a lot of shifts when we watch a movie, for example, our brains can comprehend that, but the dog just gets so confused. So they see better than us when it's dark, and they see movement better than us. And also colors, they see approximately as a human who is red-green colorblind, approximately that range. So they can see yellow and blue, but not red and green. So that's what I know about that. Any other questions?
Didn't get what is your pricing level?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and maybe you should tell me. Because it depends on, of course, on what value the dog owner sees this as. But because it's such a new product, they don't know what it will give them, and we don't even know. But we say that the full price is $399 US, so approximately 2,600 Danish kroner. But then we sell it at half price now because we are not perfect yet. When you get the box, you open it, and then there's a kind of a letter from us on the inside of the lid that says, "Welcome to the family. We cannot promise you a perfect product, but we can promise you blah, 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 blah." So they know that they're part of it.
And the treats, I mean, is that something they have to buy from you?
No, not yet. We have, because dogs are super different. Some dogs, they will not work for anything less than cheese, for example. But we have made the carousel and the carousel and the thing that the carousel is sitting inside, so that you can take them out and wash them. And also we use gravity, so you can just, anything that fits in the carousel will fall out, hopefully. And that's actually also where our patent is, because you don't want to, if you are to use this when the dog is alone, you don't want it to cheat the dog. You want it to always give a treat. And if you can give a treat, you would like it to end the game. So that's why we have a patent. We have on the inside of the carousel, if you take it out and look, we have a small magnet. And underneath underneath the magnet, we have a sensor. And the magnet doesn't have north, south, up and down. It has side to side. And that means that we can see where the carousel is. So we can also see if it doesn't move. So for example, if a small piece of cheese is only almost falling out, and then it's maybe blocking, so we can't move anymore, then we can see it, and then we can stop the game if no one is home. Also, we use in the patent, we also have the camera in use, so that if nothing falls in front of the camera, because the treat hole is above the camera, then we go another step so that the dog will get a treat. So that's how we have protected it. And of course, it's also only for strategic reasons, because we will not have money for a long time, at least, to defend a patent. So it's more if someone wants to buy us like Merck Animal Health, then they can use that patent to prevent others from doing something similar.
What did you do with the packaging?
Oh yeah, we used Boxon. Osman, let me know if you want an introduction. They live in Farum and also in Malmö, as far as I know. And we've been okay satisfied with them. I mean, I don't have anyone to compare to, but I've heard others being happy with them. He's very nice, Osman. We had some problems with the black spots on the white paint, but then he gave us a refund and stuff like that. So, and we have a box that is, yeah, well, it's this tall, and then it's like this wide and this deep, and then we have an insert, and it costs us 76 kroner when we buy 500. So it's in that. Of course, you can probably get it cheaper in Asia. And it's of course a biodegradable cardboard and with all the right stamps in the bottom.
How has your collaboration with the manufacturer been?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very good question. Yeah. First we worked with Scanfil, and I think that they are usually taking larger companies, so they were very professional. I did like Jacob, he was called, the guy that worked there. I don't think he's there anymore. He was very nice, and we were there and helped setting up the first production of the first 100 3D printed units, and everything went smooth, but they were pretty expensive, of course. And then they were also annoying in a way that I thought maybe that was the normal thing because they were our first EMS, but they kept, I think every other month he wrote to me, I have to see your finances. Oh, then I had to show him that we had money. That was annoying, but was of course just a detail. And the Danish ETK EMS Sønderborg, they seem a lot more laid back. They are less expensive, but they don't seem super eager. I think they go home early, but that's okay. It fits us fine for now. And they claim that they can scale, so that if we need a lot, then they can produce them. And the guy in charge of the manufacturing process, so the assembly and everything, Michael, he's really clever. I think he's really, really good. Ioannis, my head of hardware product, he was at their site yesterday, and just to see if they could somehow optimize for the last, I think we have 200 left. But actually not so much, of course, for those 200, but more for the next 1,000. But they use these as a test. And Ioannis, I just quickly saw his response when I was on the way here, and it seems that they already are ahead of us in some of the things that we wanted to suggest. So I think they're good. They had some errors in their price calculation, but then we have Kendra, who's used to work at Airtame. She helped us, and also Anne Rasmussen, who has also experience in consumer electronics, help us find these, clarify where those errors were, and now we got a pretty good price. I was a little annoyed, but that's also something you really have to be ahead of. You will have cost drivers on your BOM. You all know what a BOM is. I did used to not know, but yeah, the bill of material. You also always have cost drivers, and it's so important. And I even knew that up front, but I didn't do it well enough. You have to keep eye on those cost drivers. Maybe find good offers, because the EMS, of course, they say they will try to find the best price, and they are transparent and show which price they found and stuff. Of course, they have a very low incentive to find the cheapest, because they get a margin on the BOM. So if the camera, just a random example, for example, all of a sudden costs 180 instead of the 119 that they said on the original quote, out, then you have to pay. So, but you can insist on being part of the purchase, and then you can bargain, and you should do that. I'd say that that's a very good advice. You can save a lot of money. And also, any of you using HDMI cables in your product? Okay, then it doesn't matter. But there's a lot of crap out there. Yeah.
What do you do for test?
There are many. That's also a science in itself. Yeah. No.
Specifically like
Yeah.
the manufacturer.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Right now it's just a functionality test. So they plug into everything, and then they see on a TV, does it work? And if it doesn't work, they take it back and try to fix it. So when we get it, it's been tested in the first couple of levels or something like that.
So what do they manufacture the circuit boards?
Yes, we have 3 PCBAs, and they make all of them. And then we have a Raspberry Pi 4 as our main computer, and in the side camera we have a Raspberry Pi 2W, and that has also given us some issues. But yeah, no, I should not wish. You don't use any Wi-Fi in your products? Any of you Wi-Fi? Okay, then I will not bore you with it, because you probably have other challenges. But we solved it, that's why. If you did, I would tell you. But yeah, they tested. But of course, at some point, we would have to make a new invention, and that's a tester thing that has to be standing at the EMS, where you can plug in like 10 Godogos and then just push a button, and then come back and see is it green or is it red. But we haven't made that yet. We'll do that later. Yes?
You look into the product market fit. Have you done different setups for different markets? So one for Denmark, another one for the US, because it might be different drivers.
Yeah. Now we have not spent a lot of money on marketing, so I'm not an expert on this yet, but we do sense that the US customer is more accepting of a tech solution compared to the Danish. And in the same way, we have also tested a little in Germany. Germans are even less has less acceptance for tech solutions. Yeah, less than them, but I think it's also because it's Copenhagen. The Copenhagen area is more tech savvy, and we've only been to Germany a little, and they are not welcoming it. And also, but the US is even more. They love it. At least there are some that love it. But in Denmark, we often get this. We actually also do get that sometimes in the US. Why get a dog if you make a TV train it? But it's hard to explain what it is. And if they only see these 15 seconds, it does look like a dog getting trained by a virtual instructor. So even though that's not what we sell, that's what they think we sell. It's really hard. I totally get it. It's not like selling a new loudspeaker that everyone knows that they need and they know what it's doing and why they need it. This is just very new. But I think we will get there with the help of our early customers. Because they know, and their friends will want to listen to them for more than 15 seconds, right? Hopefully. Yeah. Do you have more? We're probably out of time.
Maybe from online.
Oh shit, we're out of time.
No worries. No worries.
Can I just ask Rune from Jutland?
Sure.
Have you CE tested your product?
Oh yeah, that's also, yeah. We have used Bolts in Lynge to get our CE certification. And we added, for another, I think 2,500, we also got the FCC. So, yes.
For those who are not familiar with the FCC.
Yeah, it's for the US market. So we have CE for the EU market and we have FCC for the US. If we want to go to Canada, we need another test of some sort. I don't know exactly which, but we're starting in the US, so we're keeping it simple. In principle, we could sell to the entire EU. We only need to translate manuals and stuff. So we may do that, but right now we are totally focused on the US because we don't have a lot of money. But we could open so that at least it could be possible to buy it. We may do that.
Very quick question. Funding. That is a long process.
It is. Yeah.
How did you mentioned InnoBooster several times.
We have received soft funding, approximately 1 million Danish kroner in a total, a couple of InnoBoosters, 3 InnoBoosters, one of them an InnoBooster people, and we have been part of the DTC. And then we have raised external money twice. So 1.4 million in the February 19, just after our DTC. And then we raised 2.4 in the fall of 2020. And along that, we also got money from Vækstfonden in those COVID loans, 4.4 million. So we actually raised 7 million in the fall of 2020. And now we're raising again. Last spring, we had a very small bridge round, internal, just had among the investors, so that we could make it to the other side of finding out how we are selling. But now we are running out of money for real, so we are raising, and I hope we will find money. Tomorrow at Matrikel 1, we are going to have a show event with, I was actually hoping we'd get like a red carpet for Leo walking in, showing Godoko, but it will be 2 hours in the back of the cafe where we have Tommy Andersen from Byfounders and backing minds. We see that like hardware, and maybe you should also look into that if you don't know it already. They already have 2 investments in the space. So I think if they go in, they will probably take the entire round. But all the investors that I lined up in the last round for later, they vanished. I think it's really, everything is just dry now. But if you survive the next 6 months, or if you have money to get to the fall, then I think it's okay. Then you will live. But right now, everyone is just sitting on their money. But I have been smart. Oh yeah, maybe I should tell you that I have fired everyone. That's so crazy. No, I'm so smart. No, everyone knows, of course, they're not fired if we raise. But the problem is that if I didn't do it beforehand and we can't raise money when we are out, then I would have to close. It would be bankruptcy and the company would die. Right now, we can actually go into a dormant stage, like a spore, and just stay for a while, not doing anything, just keeping, of course, the software running, co-founders, but not spending money on anything, and just wait until we can, we'll sell the units we still have to sell that can just go on, and then raise money when there's money again. Of course, I hope I don't have to really fire everyone, but on paper, we are all fired from the 1st of April. So if you know any investors, please.
I think everyone is trying to hold them tight to but they might be interested in other kinds of products.
Those that say no, there's a lot of, probably also, they almost always say no. But if you know anyone who says no, who has a dog,
Perfect. Thank you very much, Hanne. Thanks for sharing great stories about how Godoko came to world and we were manufacturing it and so on.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. With that, we finalize the formal part of today. Thanks to all speakers. Time for networking and some cold drinks that should be set up out in the atrium now, just in the area just behind the reception. So I suggest we go out there and talk to whoever we didn't talk to in the first round. Finally, I just need to remind you about remembering to registering your hours that you spend on this. That's the way we actually can finance that. We can make activities and so on. So and it's both the if you had in preparation and your transportation time, both to get here and to get back home. You can put that in as hours as well. The time you've been here, and if you learned something today, I hope you did. When you apply that knowledge in your own company and your product, that's actually hours you can register as well. For those of you that I haven't had introduction meetings with yet, I'll explain you more about that. Finally, if you have any comments about today or suggestions for any future meetups or online sessions, don't hesitate. Give me a call. Send me an email. However you like. I don't send out these annoying, boring evaluation forms. Post Denmark Post Nord just send you a package. How did you like it? Well, I like the package I got, but how it got here, I don't care. I don't want to answer all those questions. But if you really care about something, please let me know.
Tells that when you go to the US, it's another market. Remember what I said when you ask about documentation. It depends on where you are going. So exactly what you're saying. It's every time you make the documentation, remember to keep it for the country that we are going to, because it's different from US to Denmark. So that you think that always.
Good point. That's it. Thanks for now. Oh, 1 second. Just,
Yeah,